What's up, Trekkies? It's your boy Wil Wofford here with Trekker's Delight, a Star Trek inspired podcast. Before we get started, we're going to give away $100, so make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to our channel where we will announce the lucky winner every single week. Now, welcome to Trekker's Delight.
Hello, folks. My name is William Wofford here with another episode of Trekker's Delight and one of our sub-shows being Black Trek. We try to have these as often as we could, but you know, sometimes we're just on Black people time. I'm sorry, Jermaine. But anyway, how's everyone doing today?
I'm good.
That's cool. Great, awesome. So, for today's episode of Black Trek, we have Jermaine and Jason here with us. We're going to talk about what we interpret as Black history moments in Star Trek and how it relates to us, or how it affected us, or maybe it didn't, or maybe it did. Depends on who's living the life. So, let's start off with number one. The first of the first. We have Uhura, who is played by Nichelle Nichols on the original series. Like, do you guys recall how much of an impact that, and I'm not bringing age into this, I swear, but do you recall how much of an impact that just her being on the bridge alone has had on the industry?
I know for a fact that her being, first of all, no, I don't recall, because that was not.
This question was actually meant. Yeah, this question was actually meant for Ken, because he's like almost 80. So.
Right. But I do know for a fact that her being on Star Trek made an impact into our culture and our society. There are several people, first of all, passively by just being on the show, and also actively by helping to get people that were non-white males into NASA and into engineering fields. So if it weren't for Nichelle Nichols, a lot of people would have had different careers and would have had that opportunity. That's a fact.
Okay. Jermaine, what say you?
So I remember having a conversation with my mom about that, and also even though my grandmother didn't really talk about it, Star Trek was really one of those shows where it was okay to watch at any given time, to the point where, you know, I could skip going to church so that I could watch Star Trek. The only show ever. And I grew up in the early 80s, the very early 80s. So church in the Black culture was big. It was huge, right? So you went to church like 2-3 times a week. And to live with your grandmother, and your grandmother said that you don't have to go to church on Sunday, that was big, right?
And all you gotta do is watch Star Trek.
All you had to do was watch Star Trek, because of Nichelle Nichols. Now, as I was talking to my mom, as I got a little older, my mom was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, she's part of the reason why so many people started going to college."
So both of you make these points. Can you give me an example, or multiple examples? Like I know about the astronaut, but do you know of other examples that might be relevant to the conversation?
Well, I mean,
as far as different careers,
I'm not gonna say specific. Well, first of all, most people should know this about Nichelle Nichols already, but let's just lay it out there.
Right.
That she was gonna quit Star Trek.
She was, yes.
And she ended up meeting up with Martin Luther King, and told him that she was gonna quit. And Martin Luther King told her, absolutely not. You don't even understand who you are or what you're doing and how important what you are is. So it was because of Martin Luther the King that Nichelle Nichols stayed on Star Trek. That's important, and everybody should know that. Most people who are Trekkies probably do know that, but that's important lore. All right. I was just laughing at you, man.
King part, Martin Luther the King.
The King.
We all saw Coming to America. As far as, I would have had to look up specific people that said I stayed in this field because of Nichelle Nichols. Go ahead, Jermaine.
No, I just want to say. So I was I worked on LSU's campus. I was talking to a professor on campus, and we were interviewing someone for a position. She and I, we were leaving the law center, and we were going somewhere else. And so we just started talking. I remember I told her, "Hey, I like watching Star Trek. You probably don't, whatever, whatever." And she was just like, "Are you kidding me? That's my favorite show of all time." And then she offered, "This is the reason this show." Specifically, Nichelle Nichols, or that particular character is the reason why I even got into, check this out, chemistry, PhD professor, not an assistant professor, but an associate professor who was working on basically like she was about to become a full-fledged professor. So no, it's real. It's real.
And
yeah.
And like I said before, she actively helped move NASA's narrow vision of who their pilots should be and engineers should be, to broaden their horizons, to get other people in, women, Black people, other people. So yeah, again, I can't name specific names. I don't know if you know Mae Jemison was one of those people or not. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
So
no, she most definitely was.
She was that Dr. Mae C. Jemison is actually an American engineer. She's 65, and ironically, she's an engineer in real life. So she played as an engineer on Star Trek, which is actually interesting because some people interpret that William Shatner is the first Star Trek actor to go into space. That's actually not true. It's actually not. No.
Well, she went into space before Star Trek.
Long before. You know.
She was probably on there like, Jordy, that's not how we do it.
Like, I just would like to be. I just want to see Laura's face, but you can't, because you can't see anything through those visors.
And I used to play with my sister's little clippy cone things, head clippy cones. I used to do that, but that's where they got it from.
Yes,
so I used to do that when I was a kid.
That's what they did. That's where they got that from.
Yeah,
well, I don't know if that's where they got it from, but I remember I used
nothing else in the world looks like that.
Those banana clips. That's what they call them, banana clips.
Yeah.
So that I know exactly what you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Okay. So another thing. So we saw how it gave birth to different careers. And for me, I still remember Whoopi Goldberg's words when she said, "Mom, there's a Black lady on TV and she ain't no maid."
Right.
When you do that for a child's eyes at that young of an age, you give them a glimmer of hope, where back then there was virtually slim to none at that time. So it's very important the positivity that you put into their lives, and it gives so much to many Black actors and actresses that we have today, that I actually believe when they say, "Oh, I love Star Trek," and I said, "I bet you do. I bet you do."
See, it's crazy. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that was it.
I was gonna say it's crazy how as our society progresses and changes, how things that we don't even notice or take for granted in our lifetime, people decades before would have looked at like, what? Like the first time, it was just in awe of them. I mean, I remember seeing a Cheerios commercial where there was like a white man, like a Black man and a white woman had this little baby, this little, mixed baby, and people were going nuts over this commercial, over this mixed couple. You know what I mean? And I think that Star Trek did a lot of that way back in the day, where people were going nuts over just having these people on there.
Right.
And then I saw one with I don't know if it was a Cheerios commercial, but it was a gay couple. I'm sure people went nuts over that. Oh yeah, it was two dudes. They're not even young dudes. They're like both in like 40s or 50s.
Oh 50s. Wow, not even young.
So, and I'm sure us seeing that is like, oh wow, look at that. But 20 years from now, it's not going to be. It's going to be nothing. You know what I mean? So props to Star Trek for everything they did back then, because it helps us to what is norm, what should be seen as normal.
Right, what should be seen as normal. Okay. So, when was the first time you saw the kiss between Uhura and Kirk?
I'm not gonna say again. It happened before my time, so
It happened before, but when was the first time you saw it?
I can't say when the first time I saw it. I can't say I was terribly shocked. I was pretty young, probably. I probably was a kid when I saw it.
Did you understand what you were saying?
I probably didn't think it was that much of a big deal when I saw it first. I thought it was more of a big deal later on in life when I understood more of the complexities between races and why it was a big deal. But when I first saw it as a kid, I don't think I saw it as a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt the same. I do remember the first time that I saw it. It was so way back in the 80s. They used to have these shows that came on, especially during the summer, like the most scandalous moment of the past decade, or the most scandalous moments of the past 20 years, yada yada yada, whatever. So those were TV shows, and some of the commercials, it would always have the kiss between Uhura and Captain Kirk. Always. Like that was like the selling point, and everybody was gonna watch that one moment that they showed every single time, the most scandalous moment of the past 20 years, and it was always in the top 10, always in the top 10.
And while I applaud them for that kiss, I've always hated it because it was a forced kiss. It could not.
It was. I was going to bring that up. It was a forced kiss, even though they view it as a kiss, but it was a forced kiss.
Yes, that was the only way they can make that play out back then, because they couldn't actually have them just decide to do it under their own free will. So I hate that they didn't do it under their own free will, even though I'm glad it happened regardless. Yeah. I just wish it was a kiss that was a loving, I'm not going to say loving, a wanting kiss.
They actually, the characters actually had the desire to do it, and not some outside influence.
Yeah, that would have been. I think they took the easy way out by doing that.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so all right. So this is the thing. So for me, and I know this has nothing to do with what the show is about.
Go ahead.
You have to think about it from this perspective. Both of them are considered like main cast members, and so if it were to be something that was wanting, to use your verbiage, then that would necessitate some type of a relationship that they probably didn't necessarily want, because they're on a ship, and the way that people in society saw things. I mean, this is the 60s, and in the 60s, people were still sleeping in separate beds. You know what I'm saying? So it's probably not exactly what they wanted to show America. Right. Just male-female dynamics, not even thinking about, white-black racial dynamics.
Right.
And it goes to show what happened in the times. I mean, obviously I wasn't there, but it shows like the whole history of the thing, and the fact that that Nichelle described a bunch of white men in, I'm paraphrasing, but men in black suits, a lot of producers, and they're just standing there looking like this as they're watching this scene that could very well get them canceled. And and they ended up, anyway. But that's beside the point. But okay, that kiss, I remember actually, for my senior project in college, I graduated in 2017. I hope I'm not giving away my age. I graduated in 2017, and I made a documentary.
2017, dear Lord.
We age well, don't we? We age so well. Like, oh man, I feel great,
I started getting worried about my 401k at 2017. All right, so you got this documentary going.
Okay. First of all,
okay,
you might have been worried about your 401 K at 2017. I was worried about my crypto at 2017. Okay.
That too. Yeah.
All right. Actually, I really wasn't. I was just trying to walk the stage. I know, right? I shouldn't have sold mine either. Right. I promise I shouldn't have sold mine. That's a conversation for another time, though. Right. But anyway, so in this documentary, it was basically about theater and dance perspectives, because that's where I graduated from that department. But I wanted to somehow combine it with film, with my love for film, because I actually graduated with 2 degrees, one in theater, the other one in film. But I wanted to combine it some way, almost like a senior project in high school, like a senior video of sorts. But it was a documentary. And so when it came down time to interview myself, and I wanted to know, as an actor, where did my experience come? I remember seeing that kiss, and I was like, I need to look this up. And so I actually did a little bit of background, and that was the time it became my most favorite Black history story of all time. Like, every time at church they did a Black history program, and they had all us little kids. Of course, I wasn't little; I was the tallest kid there. But all us kids there talking about our Rosa Parks, like Frederick, a bunch of Black historical figures. Mine was always Nichelle Nichols. They're like, "Who's that, baby?" And then I would just look at them and say, I am disappointed in you. You should know who Nichelle Nichols is.
Right.
And these people are like way older than me. Like, as of right now, they should be like 90 right now. So, like.
What was the second kiss? Interracial kiss? Was it like Sidney Poitier or something?
Are we talking about, was it Sidney Poitier in... Not Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
But those are movies, though. I guess that's different from TV, right?
Different from TV. Because this was the television show. Now, there was another kiss. There was another kiss, another interracial kiss. But it didn't happen on the same platform that it happened on Star Trek. That's the difference. I'm not quite sure. Jermaine, can you home in on that? If you think you can, okay, you can. So
is that the one that was on European television?
I think it was more like some sort of like local station or something to that effect. It was still an American television station, but it wasn't like on the national level. And even then, after that kiss, they started running that show at 10 o'clock at night. Like, right. But to come back to Martin Luther King, he let his children stay up that late just to watch that show once a week whenever it did come on, which I'm very glad about. So moving on from there, we move on into the 24th century, where we are in the TNG era. Let's just call it the TNG verse, if you will. We're talking about Voyager, Deep Space Nine, but we're actually going to mainly talk about Deep Space Nine. But I'm going to start off, and then I'm going to pass it off to Jason, then I'm going to pass it off to Jermaine. So for me, the moment that stood out to me the most as a Black man is that the fact that Picard was bold enough with his Shakespearean motivational speeches that I still listen to this day. He says the word race multiple times. Sisko actually said the word Black. And I appreciated that. Because you can say race all day long. You can talk about different, because you could put that into any context, into any alien race. You can say that with anyone or anything. But right. Sisko actually said the word Black, and it was the time when, and he implied it many other times, and then we'll talk about Far Beyond the Stars in the next episode. But it was the holodeck episode where he didn't want to go to that Las Vegas because of what it had represented to him.
Right.
And I remember I was in college, obviously, but I was like, I shouldn't have said obviously. I was like 19, 20 years old, and I paused it, and I was like, did he just say the word Black?
I didn't realize he said that. I'm gonna have to look that up now.
It was one time. It was one time. Just like it was one time they actually said the word Star Trek, and that was on First Contact by Zefram Cochrane. So it's just one of those little things that matter to me. You know, not saying it doesn't matter to anyone else, but it was just one of those things that stood out for me. Jason, you mentioned about the father and son relationship between Jake and
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, that I mean, you're trying to you were bringing up this is supposed to be about moments, but so if you want to say moment, I would
I mean,
say
go ahead. Yeah.
him. I mean, I'm just gonna. I would say him hugging son, which has happened several times in the show, and I love in general the relationship between Benjamin Sisko and his son Jake as a wonderful black father to his son. Even with everything that he's got going on, he's the emissary and he's the captain of a space station. He's got a lot of responsibility, but he always takes time to be a father, and I think that's a great thing because of the stigma that people have about black fathers. I mean, I had a black father; he was a great father. But I know that this our culture has a stigma about fathers, and specifically the episode "The Visitor" I thought was a great one because it showed you how much not only how much we know how much Sisko loves his son, but how much his son actually loved his father as well. And like that episode gives me chills in my spine. But just Rick Berman or whoever wrote it, like that was the fact that you organized Benjamin Sisko to be a great black father. I think is a wonderful attribute in Star Trek.
I do want to just kind of amen everything that Jason just said and just add something to that. What I also saw him do with Jake, even though it was like it was on his forehead, but he actually kissed his son.
Yes.
You know, like the yes, affection. It was more than just a hug. Like he kissed him. He let him know. He let America know I love my son. And right. Off screen, he had a relationship with Sarek, right? Yes. So like he used to pick him up.
He would call his son off screen.
Yeah, he would pick him up, and you know they would spend time together. All of that. And just to take it a step further, personally, that was how I saw my uncles interact with with their sons. One probably more so than the other, but very, very, very affectionate. And it's also how I see other people interact with their sons. You know, maybe, by the time they become adults, that's not how they're interacting with them. But when they're young, yes, that's exactly how they interact with each other. And so that to me seemed very natural to the point where like I didn't realize that something was odd about that until I guess I think because of that show I started paying more attention to how fathers were with their son. And when I say fathers, I mean white fathers were with their sons on television shows. And you didn't see that type of intimacy between father and son.
Right. And even as Jake was really young growing on the show when it started, but he grew up and he was big. Sisko still was affectionate and hugging his son. And actually, my dad to this day will do that. He'll be like, all right, we'll give your father a hug. And, I'm 47 years old. He's like, okay, give your father. I'm like, are you been watching Deep Space Nine? Like, come on, man. Like, but, we still do that. So that's, I appreciate that. And it's, Jake was just no matter how old he got, and he loved his son. No matter how old he got, that affection doesn't get old, and that's good. I think that's good for all fathers, not just black fathers, but
I actually feel comfortable sharing this, and I don't mind because it's not like he's probably going to see it anytime soon. I'm actually really glad that both of you are talking about father and son relationships, especially because this month my father wants to rekindle a relationship with me, and it actually feels genuine this time, and I really love that. I do. Like, the only reason I call him dad, even though I had every reason not to, right. The only reason I call him dad was because I loved the love and affection Jake had for his father, the way he said dad each time. Right. And I kept thinking, even though I didn't really understand it as a teenager, but as a college teenager, I would watch this and be like, I wish I could say this to my dad like that. I wish I could love him like that. I wish he would love me like that. And, 7 years later, here we are, 2022. He says, hey, son, I want to spend more time with you. Is that okay? And I'm like, are we in the mirror universe or something? Like, are you
right?
Are you dying? Like, you have cancer?
Money. Don't give him no money.
I ain't giving him. He ain't giving shit. Like, yeah, like I said, he ain't gonna watch this. Like, and I am confusion. Like, I have to screenshot the messages and read them over again and zoom in and read what I just read. Like, and he talked about, and then he complimented me.
What you want, man?
Right? Complimented me on my weight loss and saying, hey, I know it's your mom's second year anniversary of her passing. I love you. I know she would want us to spend time together, all this other stuff. And I'm like, why are you being so nice?
Right.
You know, and the reason I make that point is because, unfortunately, for a lot of us in our community, we don't have a stable relationship with our parents, and sometimes vice versa, depending on what happens in each situation. An unfortunate stereotype is a lot of our children are left with their grandparents to be raised.
Right.
But that, like I said, that's a stereotype. That's not necessarily true always. There's many different situations, and I'm certainly not a father. But yeah. Did y'all have any more on that particular subject before I moved on to the next?
No, I mean, I think we were talking about Jake and his dad, right?
Yeah, we were talking about Jake and his dad.
And, you know, that's like the best family relationship we have in Star Trek.
It was the most developed. It was like, even in terms of character development, we both know what they like and don't like. Like, do you remember the episode where Nog and Jake were going to be roommates for the first time?
Yes.
Beautiful. Like, he just stood up to them and he said, as your captain, you're going to do this, and as your father, you're going to do this. Yeah. I'm like, I'm here for this. I love this. Like, what were some other, like, moments where you saw that, other than the love and affection, that you saw Benjamin had to have an authoritative figure to, I won't say punish, but like to discipline Jake?
Oh, I mean, he did it a lot, and that's, I mean, I try to think of specific instances, but it was well balanced.
Yeah.
With him,
like, he didn't like yell at him.
Yeah, he was like, he was a good father, but he was also the captain all the time, and I think that's what made it so great. He was even good when you know, like the what's his girlfriend's name that came in to be the stepmama and everything, and that was even well developed.
Cassidy Yates.
Yeah, Cassidy.
I loved her.
And it was you know what, it was actually hurtful when she came over from the mirror universe. His mother came over from the mirror universe, and Jake just wanted. It was like Jake just flocked to her, and Captain Sisko was just like, didn't want his son's heart to be broken. You know what I mean? He just like he wanted his son to be happy, and he just didn't want his son's heart to be broken by this woman that he really didn't even know. And he was so on edge about it. You know what I mean? That was real. It was real hard for him to go through that and watch his son flock to her like that.
So just to add on to that, this was gonna we kind of started recording, but another thing that I was gonna add was Benjamin Sisko, in addition to being, you know, the first Black captain, that was his character was the most well thought out Black character of Star Trek up until that point. Even though we had Geordi for however many seasons, as a character, Geordi's character was not as well developed. I mean, Geordi never had a relationship of any sort that lasted beyond one episode.
Have you seen him on the holodeck? No, I'm just kidding.
Again, it didn't last longer than one episode. You know what I'm saying? And so we did get to see his parents. Okay, that's a good thing. But even then, one episode never saw his parents again.
Because Deep Space Nine was like a drama. It actually was a drama.
Okay,
look at Worf.
We know a lot about Worf.
Well, Worf has had more Star Trek time than anybody else in Star Trek. He has been on screen
is
more
true.
than anyone.
But that's my point. That's my point. And even Data, right? We know about Data's mother. We know about Data's father. We know about Data's brother. We know about it goes on and on and on and on and on. We don't know that about Geordi, right? Not so in terms of black characters, his character was the first black character to be fully fleshed out, a real character.
We know about Geordi the engineer. We don't know about Geordi the person. We certainly don't know about Travis Mayweather. We don't know shit about. We know a little bit about him, but there was actually a point. This could be for another show, but where they could have did a lot. I saw where they could have did a lot with Travis Mayweather, but they just skipped over it. But they just didn't know what to do with him no more.
I don't think his acting was the best, and so
I don't like his acting either.
They say they are determined to fight against a military that's one of the strongest in the world.
Oh wow, that was some real tea. What
happened? What are you doing? You watching the news?
Yeah, the news is on, and I think some more stuff just happened. But anyway, the folks, that just lets you know, black folks, we nosy as hell. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and deny it. Like,
so there was the episode where are we gonna get off track if I start talking about this, or do you want to move on to something else?
Actually, I'm gonna let you make that point. I actually have one point to make before we close this point off. Is that it's funny that that we were talking about Geordi coming first as the first after Nichelle black character, only for Cisco to be the first fleshed out black character.
Yeah,
it kind of reminds me of Venus and Serena. One had to be first, so the next one could be the best. So
I see that. At first, I was like, "Where are you going with that?" But now,
right, yeah. And I think you learned that. Well, I learned that when I watched King Richard, and then I actually I read up on it, and I wanted to be sure because inspired and based on and by true events are two different things. But obviously, your hero was first. But I'll just make that clear. But as far as aside from Michael Burnham, as far as modern black Trek actors go, Geordi was the first, but he didn't get any character development. Jermaine's right. We just know that he's smart and he likes to have a drink with Scotty when he's on board.
They did a lot. They did do a lot with Geordi. As in Nichelle Nichols, they didn't do a lot with her. Maybe the last season they started trying to do more with her.
Right.
She was there, but they didn't do a whole lot with her. But that show was mostly about the top three, and then maybe Scotty, and then it was mostly.
Yeah, I mean, we learned that
Geordi. At least they did I was gonna say, at least Geordi, they did a lot. He got plenty of screen time and plenty of shit to do, even if we didn't learn about the background of Geordi. But like you said, Cisco was the most fleshed out. He's like one of the most fleshed out characters in Star Trek, period, actually.
Yeah.
Black.
Like I still, even though we're in season 4 of Discovery, I still know a lot more about Cisco than I do about Michael Burnham. Because
we know a lot about her. I think we know a lot.
I mean, we know a lot. We definitely know a lot. But as it stands right now, and I'm not just saying this because he's a black man, but I'm saying this in terms of character development. Oh my goodness gracious! Like, we learned his various relationships, not just as a Starfleet captain, but as a father and as freaking
a best friend,
and a Bajoran Jesus.
Right.
Whoo! Like, didn't even know his own father could quote the Bible. I'm full of surprises.
I always thought him and Kai were gonna get together.
Who? The fuck?
Never mind.
Get your ass off of here. How do I get him off? How do I get him off of here?
No!
Wow. Wow. The man was like, "No, I'm glad you care, man." I feel
his face.
Me and you, bro.
I gotta call Marie.
Yeah. So since we're talking about Geordi, though, I do want to say this. when I was younger, when the show first came on, in the very late 80s. So yeah, I was jazzed about his character, and the promos, they ran his image maybe once. They showed everybody else, but his image more than anybody. Like, I didn't even know who Patrick Stewart was. No one knew who Patrick Stewart was. No one knew who anybody on that show was, except for LeVar Burton.
Yes.
And on top of that, so here you go, this black guy. We find out that this black guy is going to basically pilot the ship. This blind black guy is going to pilot the ship. And there's another interesting, I don't know which episode it was, but it was early on. Geordi took the helm, not the helm, but he captained the ship, right? The Picard and Riker were both off the ship, but he had to basically command the ship. A lieutenant, a junior grade lieutenant, had to command the ship.
Was it when they split the saucer section?
Yes.
That was beautiful. When I saw that, I was like, wait a minute. He was, and I didn't know this, because I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. I went on this, watching that scene for the first time. Like, I always thought growing up that it was Encounter at Farpoint, The Best of Both Worlds, and Generations. I was wrong. Geordi separated the Enterprise 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and then he did that maneuver, which lets you know he's fucking brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Like, pardon my French, Jean-Luc. But yeah, go ahead.
And that's what's so disappointing, because it started off so strong, and then exactly, it's kind of like all these other characters became, I don't know, whatever, and they were just like, okay, so Geordi, you're 100%, you're just gonna be in engineering, and we just gonna call you up whenever we need you.
Well, I think that I don't know if that's playing them down. I think that, first of all, I think the show got better after he became an engineer.
I agree.
I think there's a few other things that happened that made the show better, but I think the show didn't come into its being until Geordi went into engineering. That when Geordi went to engineering, that really started the next generation of how it's supposed to be.
I agree with that. However, his character was not fully developed. There was so much more that they could have done with his character. There could have been situations where everyone was knocked out and he was the only one that could save the ship. You know, how many times did what's his name, Data, save the ship?
Boy, you didn't see.
They could have given that to him once or twice.
You didn't see LaForge roll under that door.
He rolled on that.
He did that a lot. He did that a lot. And I was here for it, but
they should have had him drop his visor and then go back and get it like Indiana Jones.
No.
That would have been the shit.
I think there was an instance where he was like held hostage and they took his visor from him.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There was one, he was trapped with a Romulan and he didn't have it. Another one, the Romulans again.
When they killed Tasha Yar.
They killed Tasha Yar.
Oh, we found out that he was in love with her.
Yeah.
Now I liked that. That is like a hint.
A hint at what could have been?
A hint at what could have been, and a hint to his character and his type, even though he was supposed to be gay. But you know what? It actually makes sense. I mean, look at Tasha. She was a fucking security chief. Did you see her cut hair and the way she dressed, the way she looked? I mean, maybe, you know.
Well, I mean, nothing against Tasha Yar, but the show also got better after she left and Worf took her place. She was good, but Worf was better suited for her job. They could have still had her do something. I love Tasha Yar.
Is it because he was a man?
Worf's place, because he's a Klingon. Worf's place where he was well suited for the next generation, at least. He was well suited for where they put him.
Right.
I agree with that. I remember they tried to make him the pilot, and that didn't work. It was just uncomfortable watching him do it. No.
I mean,
all right. Well, what's the next topic? We
got is now we're moving on to Black directors, which is interesting because while we're on LeVar Burton, his director debut was actually Second Chances, season 6, episode 23 or 24. Second Chances. Yes, Thomas Riker. Second Chances is the birth. Well, not the birth because apparently it happened 7 years earlier, or 7 years earlier. But it's the birth of Thomas Riker's character, and I thought it was very interesting that should be his first. Like, do you guys remember that episode? Did it stand out to you at all?
No.
I remember that episode a lot because Thomas Riker got to do the things that the writers wouldn't let William Riker do. They wouldn't let William Riker get with Troy, right?
Right.
And with Thomas Riker I don't know if he really got with her, but like you got to see that romance and everything between them.
That we didn't get to see with William.
Right. Because they wouldn't let that happen for whatever reason.
Right.
I never served on a ship before, so I don't know if that's how taboo that is.
I don't know either. So what I see here is that LeVar Burton directed 29 Star Trek episodes. 29 on almost every show.
He did a lot on Enterprise. I remember that.
He did. He most certainly did. So to go through the list for Star Trek: The Next Generation, it was Second Chances was number 1. The Pegasus was number 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, now that one was
another Thomas Riker one. That's another Will Riker episode.
That's another Will Riker episode. So he probably knows his character very well. Let's see. Shush. Star Trek: Deep Space Nine. We have Indiscretion. Let's see. That one was season 4. Oh, season 4, episode 5. That was the one where Kira and Dukat went to, I believe, rescue his daughter.
Oh, okay.
The next one is the Sword of Kahless, which the title speaks for itself. That's the Dax episode, I believe, with when he gets Kor and Kang and they get the sword. No, it was Kang and Worf. And they went to go get the sword and they let it float in space. Then there's Bar Association. I think that might be a Quark episode.
Yes, most definitely it is.
Can you tell me what that one was about?
Not 100%. Not 100%. I remember reading something recently, and it was just like a passing phrase. But yes, it's a Ferengi episode, not a Quark episode, but a Ferengi.
It's a Ferengi episode. Mm-hmm. Okay. The next one after that, Rules of Engagement.
Episode then.
You don't like the Ferengi?
Oh, that's. I'm not a Ferengi fan, but okay. I'm racist.
Okay.
What did he say?
He says he's racist, which is actually the accurate way of how to use the term racist. So anyway, Rules of Engagement is episode season 4, episode 18. It was the one where Worf goes to trial. I believe it was when he made certain decisions and he didn't check. He destroyed a holographic shuttle that decloaked right in front of him, and they took him to court over it. Okay, no one remembers that one. Okay, that's fine.
Oh no, I remember it. It's just waiting.
I don't remember Deep Space Nine as well as Jermaine remembers Deep Space Nine.
Okay, I'm gonna try and move along in the list. The next one is To the Death. Things Past, Soldiers of the Empire, Behind the Lines. I think Behind the Line is isn't that the one with Jake and Bashir? I could be wrong.
When Jake's got to write a story, right?
Exactly. Then there's Resurrection. I wonder what that one was about. Let's see. Oh, that's the one where the Intendant comes back and plays as Kira in the Prime universe. And then the Emperor's New Cloak, Then he did 8 episodes in Voyager. Ex post facto.
Ex post facto, yeah.
Yeah, Dreadnought. The Raven.
The Raven. That's a good episode.
That's a good one. Timeless. Of course, he was in it. Yeah.
Yeah, he was was he an admiral?
He was a captain.
He was telling Kim to go back.
Yeah, Chakotay to stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Live fast and prosper. I'll be honest, I don't know what that one was about. Nightingale. Oh, Q2. I think that's the one with Q's son.
Yeah, that's yes. People don't like the episode. I like the episode with his son.
Homestead was the one where Neelix finds his people again.
Mm-hmm. That's right before. Is that when he leaves, or that's?
Sounds like.
I think that's when he leaves. All right, and then last, he did 9 episodes in Enterprise. The first one being Terra Nova. Yeah,
that was like Terra Nova is like one of the last episodes of this series,
I think. Then there's Fortunate Son, and then there's the Cogenitor.
Yeah, that's what the third.
Oh, First Flight. If I'm not mistaken, isn't that the one where? Oh, they were talking about when they were trying to break Warp 4 or Warp 3 or something. It was before Enterprise was built. Then there's Extinction. There's Similitude, The Forgotten, The Augments. That
was last season.
Brent Spiner was in that one, if I'm not mistaken.
Last season was nice because they had like the
everything.
That was like a 3 or 4 part episode.
Exactly. And then Demons, and that was it.
So he's done a lot.
He's definitely track. He must know his track, like absolutely. And then what I also have here, her name is Hanelle Culpepper, who is the first Black female to direct a Star Trek episode, and this one happened to be in Star Trek Picard.
The series premiere, the first episode.
It was the first episode.
The very first episode of Picard.
I'm here for it. Good job. But that's pretty much the list that I have.
Well, just to add a little something to it. So on Discovery, Discovery had a writer, a director, and an executive producer.
Ooh.
Same person, Black man. Olatunde, such. I can't pronounce his name. But yes, he was a writer. Then he became a producer. Then he became a director. Then he became an executive producer, and then he directed more and more. So right now he's directing, and he's not an executive director anymore, but he's directing a lot of episodes.
Okay,
cool.
Okay, I'm here for it.
So it's put some Black people out there in the sci-fi verse as directors.
Yes, because we need that, and I really appreciate that too. So to sort of tie this up, did you guys get to see get a look at who our new Uhura is for Strange New Worlds?
I have not.
She's beautiful.
She is.
She's very beautiful. In this show, her hair is actually cut and it's short, which is great because she doesn't have to wear a 50s wig anymore.
Wait, was she? I know you're gonna flag me for not knowing this, but was she on the pilot episode of TOS?
No.
Okay.
She wasn't.
So are they putting her on the bridge with Captain Pike?
Yes.
Okay.
At this point, she's not a senior officer yet.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
She's a. I mean, you can be a lieutenant without being. Well, I guess at this point
she's a junior grade lieutenant right now. She's very low on the totem pole.
Especially if this is 10 years before Kirk. So
all the women in TOS are yeomen,
except number one.
Well, that's not. I mean, yeah. But in Kirk's world, it's like every female officer you see, he's like, yeoman, and then he like touches her hand. Come over here.
Can you guys explain to me what yeoman is? Because I feel like saying yo man.
Like it's someone who helps out on the ship.
The help?
They hold no rank whatsoever. They just help, and typically they help senior officers.
Oh, I see what they're trying to do to Uhura now in Strange New Worlds. They set her back 50 years by making her the help.
No. Did they make her yeoman?
No, she's not a yeoman.
Oh, okay.
No. God, I hope not. You said
basically yeoman on the show means they wanted to put a woman on the show for some reason, but for some reason they didn't give her any real rank, not even ensign.
So technically, Seven was a yeoman.
No, they did away. They consciously did away with that position, for starting with TNG. So no one held that rank after TNG.
Okay.
Okay. I was going to say, then that would have mean, even though it didn't last long, that would have meant Booker would have been a yeoman too.
Booker does not serve on the ship.
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't serve on the ship. Like before the whole world destroyed thing, he did help out a lot.
They should send his ass to jail. They should send his ass to jail. Sorry.
Like, we'll see what happens to him. Me personally, I still think he's gonna die. Like, he's gonna sacrifice himself in some sort of blaze of glory.
We haven't had a good reason for Michael Burnham to cry this season. I think the producers are reading people saying she cries too much. She hasn't cried all season.
Y'all gonna leave Michael Burnham alone? I'm gonna
I'm looking at your face right now.
Let that woman cry.
First of all, I love Michael Burnham. I'm not an anti-Michael Burnham at all. She's like my favorite character on the show. I wanted Michael Burnham. I wanted Sonequa Green to be on Top Gun as a pilot. That shit would have been dope on Tom Cruise's new Top Gun.
Wait, Top Cruise is like Top Gun is a new show?
New movie.
It's a new movie.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
Is he like gonna be like an instructor or something?
Probably an instructor, but they're gonna put him in the plane. I mean, got to. But that would be dope. But she won't return my calls. I'll be telling her. Whatever.
Okay, you brought up an interesting point earlier, or that with Cisco, with Avery Brooks auditioning for the role, they casted him genuinely because he was a good actor. Mm-hmm. And they centered around, and then later on, they centered around the fact that he was a black man.
Right,
which is great.
Different from Voyager, where they purposely casted and wrote a woman for the captain's role.
Same thing with Michael Burnham.
They purposely cast a black woman. They did not purposely cast a black man for Deep Space Nine. They looked at a bunch of men and auditioned them. They picked Avery Brooks, and he just ended up being a black man. So I think that's a great point. And him being hired, he was hired because
of his skill, not because of his skin color.
Right.
Oh, I should quote that. Actually.
But he had to shave off his goatee because they thought that was too black threatening.
Wait, black threatening?
Well,
white people are afraid of black people with goatees, with beards and goatees.
Oh, no wonder people jump when I walk around the corner.
Right. He's from the show Hawk, from the show Spencer for Hire. He was Hawk.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So he was a very profound, black man. I don't want to say violent, but he was threatening. They didn't want him to have a threatening look. So they made him shave off all that.
I mean, I personally like that in the beginning, he had the hair on his head and he shaved off the goatee, shaved off the reason being is because I don't like looking at the same person and looking at the same look for 7 years straight. Like,
I would agree that I like it because it shows his evolution.
Right, he grew into his character.
He's growing with all the shit that's going on. I do like that because let's all agree that we like the bald head and goatee.
Yes, at the end, because it's like you saved the best for last.
Jermaine, like, nah.
Jermaine is just like this disappointed aunt who just got out of church.
Look, so how you go? Okay, so it's like, you know, we know how, we know how to. There are certain looks, just like clothes. There are certain things that we put on that we know it's not going to look right on my body.
Yes.
Right?
Some people know that.
There are certain hairstyles that we have that make us look better.
Yes.
All right. You can't go from the look he had in Spencer for Hire, Hawk, and then go to the look that he had later. It just it doesn't play right. It doesn't look right. And so for those people who knew him, you know what I'm saying? For those people who knew him, he came out looking like that. So my mom, I'll be honest with you, Spencer for Hire, it came on late at night. My mom would stay up to watch it because of Hawk. TV show came on, it's Hawk. I'm watching it. She was gonna watch Deep Space Nine for him when she realized that was the way his character was gonna look. Oh, I can't watch this.
See, I'm sorry. Look, I understand that with our culture, when we see a certain figure, we like to gravitate to it. We like to stick to it. That's the way it's going to be. That's the way it has to be. With me, I think that's a double-edged sword right there. It has its benefits and it has its cons, but more so the cons, because at that point, you're trying to typecast the man when he's a brilliant actor. He has a wide range.
You're saying he should be able to look wherever he looks. I think the producers later on felt like they made a mistake. And like,
of course they did.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
As evidenced by the fact that that's how his character ended.
Right.
Did you not hear me when I just said save the best for last?
No, they didn't. He had to negotiate his look. That wasn't what. Oh, this is where we're gonna go. He had to negotiate his look.
Okay. He got paid, didn't he?
Yeah, he got paid, but your point is negated by what I just said. Understand that.
I'm saying I actually when I watch the first season, I am always thinking, man, he looks better with that goatee or whatever.
I don't disagree. I know he looks better. But sometimes you can't spoil the movie before the movie begins because let's be honest, Deep Space Nine didn't really get that good until past season 3 when we learned everything about everyone.
You know what? I'll be honest with you, but the ratings continue to decline.
That's with every show on the history of the face of the planet, okay?
No, TNG's ratings went up.
Wait, TNG
Voyager's ratings went up after season 4.
But okay, so if this is true, and the ratings kept going down, and he was bald headed for 4 seasons, and it still kept going down, how come it didn't go up?
Because people were checking out. Once they, I don't want to watch this man. I don't want to watch this man.
No.
Well,
because
first of all,
so look, I want you to think about it like this. So you had all these white women. Ooh, Picard is such a sexy man. He's just so sexy. Who was saying that? What's his name? That Cisco was sexy. Wasn't nobody saying that man was sexy.
You ain't gotta say that he's sexy. I was just glad that he looked like a great father figure. He looked so sweet by the pond on episode 1.
Wait, we have the same issue with Riker though, right?
What about him?
It wasn't until he got the beard.
People love Riker after he was a whole. Even Q was like, you weren't like that before you got the beard. And that was once they saw him like that, then they kept it until what? Insurrections, he shaved his face off.
I thought he looked handsome then. Now obviously don't do it now. But like we too late for that now. But back then I thought he looked great, you know? I was like, all right, do you. Personally, I liked him without the beard.
Now that That is racism. That is racism. It took one season for them to say, "Okay, Riker, give us the goatee."
That's not racist.
That is not racist, Jermaine. That's not racist. That's not how that works. That's not how that works.
Because so they felt that they never thought that that Jonathan Frakes was threatening.
Right. I see what
never heard that.
I feel that.
So on the flip side, he had to negotiate a look that he had already determined for himself. This was his look. Normally, actors go in with a look, and with that look, that's how you get hired. With this look,
now producers will change
that's
that look
racism.
in a second. Producers will change that actor's look in a second. They'll say,
"Yeah, they will." I agree with that.
Lose the beard. They will do that in a second. So, but I get what you're saying, because the point is that the reason why he did not have his beard was because they didn't want the black man to look threatening. That is why he didn't have it. And it wasn't until later on
when the Dominion War started that he needed the beard.
And now he presents a certain presence. He presented
it sold me.
The Cisco. The Cisco. He wasn't the Cisco in season 1.
He showed the fact that I'm black.
I'm still trying to
the Cisco coming to get you.
Look, I can get behind that they didn't know what they were doing in the beginning. I can get behind that. Okay.
They never did on any show.
Of course not. But what I am saying is I'm glad the way it happened, because it matched the progression and the development of the show. I don't like it when I see the way the character is always going to look. I don't like that on any show. Like, honestly, I thought Patrick Stewart's character was boring as hell.
There wasn't much that they could do with him. I mean,
first 2 seasons.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, there wasn't that much you can do. I mean, obviously,
they almost gave him hair. They almost gave him hair. It's true. I saw it. As a matter of fact. Oh, you got books.
Mm-hmm. I got his autobiography.
Well, look, let's keep this to Black Trek.
You're right. I should. I'll talk about this later. All right. Look, I'm just saying. I'm not saying you guys are wrong. And it's probably because making a black man change his look because they're low-key afraid of him, that is, to me, ignorance and racism all in one pot. Like, I get that. I feel that. All I'm saying is that I liked his look when we saw him and Jake by the pond, by the holographic pond for the first time. I thought that was cool. I liked that. Hell, I wish I had that. Like, and I liked the way how they saved the best, which was the bald head with the goatee and all that look, for last when he showed off at Michael Eddington. I liked that shit. I was like, see, you can't go up against the Cisco. You can't do it. I like the progression. I never like black or white actors are like, I can't stand same looks. I can't stand that. I never liked it. They did the same thing with Janeway. They progressed her look.
Yes, because they wanted her to be a little bit more conservative at the beginning, her hair up. Then after a while, they're like, let's let her hair down. We'll cut it, but we'll let it down. And I think she looked way better with it down, personally. I don't know what they're doing with Burnham's hair. That she just got the braids. It's like,
each season that I've noticed with Michael Burnham's hair, and we kind of covered this in a Black Trek episode, the first one with hair textures, is each season her hair gets longer and longer.
That's not her hair.
Well, I meant Michael Burnham.
Yeah, right now it's not her hair. What you talking about?
What are you talking about?
That's replicated.
You're saying in real life. In real life, it's not.
On the show, that's replicated.
So in the future, they replicate weave.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Buy it? You can replicate it.
I don't know where this conversation went. I just know that I just know that we were at an hour 5, and this was a very interesting conversation. Our next episode is actually going to be Far Beyond the Stars, where Brother Benny goes back to the 1950s United States Earth. And it's a great episode. Great episode. But guys, any closing remarks before we go out for today?
Peace out.
Peace and long life.
I just want to say closing remarks would be thank you to Trek for the things that they've accomplished and influencing our society for the better. And peace out.
Beautifully put. Deuces.
Now, again, I'm going to say this again because we're near the end of our show. If you are our allies, we are not talking to you. We are not talking to you. This does not... Okay? We're not talking to you. Stop trying to take our and make it your goddamn business. It ain't got nothing to do with you. It ain't got nothing to do with you.
Our experience of grief independently.
Bruh.
Yes.
I love that they're in the comments.
So much is like, I'm just reading the comments.
Yeah. They should have brought their child out. It's such a good point, Will. God, that's such a good point. And he's really thought about it too. You should be here. William, get over here.
I thought he had a girlfriend on Insta. It's been ages since I've mucked about, but.
Okay, moving on. Let's move on.
Oh, yeah, we gotta move on.